Every day you have a choice, and it's one that begins each time you get behind the wheel.
Every choice you make in life impacts somebody else.
Kevin Underhill is the director of operations for Greenville County Emergency Medical Services. But before he puts on his uniform each day, he lives his life as a son, a husband, and most importantly, a father. In 2012, Underhill's son Chase was killed in a car crash that he says was caused by reckless driving.
I can still remember the call. It's one of those instances where things you see that you don't forget those types of events.
It's a call he says he will never forget. Although Underhill did not respond as an EMT, he did arrive as a dad. Now he's using his family's experience to teach others the importance of traffic safety. It's an initiative known as Choices for Chase, reminding us all how every choice, even the small ones, has the ability to change your life.
Your choice to read a text, turn the radio, anything that takes your eyes off the road is a choice that you're making. And that choice is going to impact somebody else. Might not be a death, might not be an event that is catastrophic, but it could be.
There are several factors that contribute to traffic fatalities, including distracted, impaired, or reckless driving and disobeying the laws. Troopers say oftentimes those crashes are preventable.
You're out here driving around, drive like your family's in these other cars.
Master Trooper Brandon Bold with the South Carolina Highway Patrol says statewide traffic numbers from 2017 to 2021 are staggering.
We do average on a daily basis 3 people are killed every day in South Carolina.
According to the Department of Public Safety, in that time span, there were more than 874,000 reported collisions, nearly 300,000 traffic-related injuries, and more than 5,300 deaths. In 2022, officials say the roads in some areas improved. Preliminary data from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety revealed that traffic fatalities for 2022 were much less than the previous year. However, here in Greenville County, the numbers were trending in the opposite direction. Across the upstate, many counties, including Anderson and Spartanburg, saw a decrease last year in traffic-related deaths. However, Greenville County's death toll has jumped each of the past 5 years, the most reported in 2022.
I believe a lot of this has to do with the growth of the county.
Chief Deputy Coroner Mike Ellis is among those who investigate deadly crashes in Greenville County.
I've cried with families as much as they've cried and even more. It's extremely stressful.
They're the ones tasked with notifying families.
This is the only line of work that I'd love to put myself out of a job, where we didn't have to work any type of death whatsoever, especially a traumatic or tragic death.
Fatal wrecks are what many responders train for, and oftentimes they're the cases that stick with the people after one wrong choice is made.
When we're hired, we know there's going to be situations that are going to be difficult.
At the end of the day, as troopers, we can only do so much. We ultimately rely on the motoring public to help us out at the end of the day. It's up to them to get out here and do the right things.
In Greenville County, Kelsey O'Donnell, 7 News.
It's hard to talk about a loved one being in prison. But when Kenneth Henninger got a call from scammers who fooled him into thinking his stepdaughter had qualified for an early release pilot program, he knew he had to warn others.
They'd had me on the phone for 45 minutes, telling me how this thing is going to operate and how she has to do. She has to get a job. She has to report to the probation officer every day between 11 and 1, and so forth and so on. And then at the very end, they said, well, we just need a $1,200 deposit for the ankle bracelets.
In 2021, 7 News reported on his stepdaughter who had been sentenced to 8 years for a fatal hit and run. And after 3 years, Henninger and his granddaughter thought she was coming home.
She was here when the phone call was going on, and I said, I got to take care of this phone call because Mommy could be coming home soon.
And what did she say?
Oh, she was so happy and excited.
So Henninger capped out his Zelle account, paying $1,000. But the scammer said he still owed $200 and had him download Cash App, asking for Bitcoin.
I said, government agencies accept Bitcoins? And I think he said yes. I was like, no. Then I hung up. I was like, no, this is not right. Something's wrong here.
Brian Sterling, the director of the South Carolina Department of Corrections, wants to set the record straight. The pilot program is fake, and inmates will not be let out earlier than their release date.
We are investigating. We believe this is being done by inmates at the Department of Corrections in South Carolina, targeting other inmates that are getting out within a year.
So those inmates possibly have knowledge, and then they use that knowledge to make the scam successful.
And this is just another example of the bad and the danger that contraband cell phones can lead to. Now they're targeting inmates' families for profit.
Some of the information scammers have is public knowledge found on inmate search sites like this one. As for the victims, Henninger says the scammers knew all the information on his driver's license, something he says he has to submit for prison visitations and for the service used to send inmates money. Investigators say over the last few months, the scam has been growing, and so far 30 victims have come forward. As for how ankle monitor programs really work, Allison Avenger with the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services says they're only required for a fraction of released inmates.
Are there actual fees associated with an ankle monitor?
There are fees that are associated with it. It could be between $40 to $60 per week, depending on their type of supervision.
The key is no payment is charged until the inmate is released.
Come here, boy. Henninger
Quickly called his bank to get the Zelle charges successfully reversed, but the sting of the scam still runs deep, especially for his granddaughter.
She was very disappointed with tears in her eyes.
That must have been heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking for me, and it still is. Makes me tear up just thinking about a situation that she's in.
Action, Kelsey.
Well, Taylor, it was a beautiful day out here for the second day of the tournament. Several big names teed off here from Thornblade, including country music star Chris Lane, a couple of NFL players, and one of our 7 News own. Day 2 of the BMW Charity Pro-Am tournament teed off with clear skies and fans ready for action.
My wife gets on to me because I haven't marked on the calendar.
I love this tournament every year. It's super fun. Love the atmosphere, the weather's great. Seeing all the celebrities, it's awesome.
During play, each professional is paired up with an amateur partner for each of the first 2 rounds. And among the big names at Thornblade Friday was a pair with a passion for sports.
A man who played before 80,000 screaming fans, who played in the Super Bowl. Come on, piece of cake. This is you. You got this.
Yeah, he right.
7 News sports director Pete Yannity and NFL great Todd Gurley teed off together Friday afternoon. Despite previously playing in front of thousands of fans, Gurley says he was a bit nervous on the golf course.
Kids, they don't have a filter, so they can be like, yeah, I seen you golfing and you suck. So that's one thing I'm more afraid of.
Fans of all ages gathered, some for the first time.
Love it so far. It's only my 3rd golf course I've been to.
Is this your first time coming here?
Yes.
Anderson Rickett here is celebrating his 5th birthday alongside the course.
I play golf, but not here.
Watching the sport, he and his dad say they play often.
Yeah, we go down the River Falls a good bit and putt around there, so we have a good time, and he loves playing, so it's cool to be out here for the first time with him.
As play continues, fans say they can't help but enjoy the atmosphere following the game and the stars on the course.
I have not seen anybody that didn't have a smile on their face when they were here.
We'll pick it up, don't worry.
Just listen to that has a smile on my face. It was such a fun day all day today, getting to see all these community members out here gathering to enjoy the sport of golf. But all the funds raised here this weekend will go back to local upstate charities such as Mobile Meals of Spartanburg and the Cancer Society of Greenville. They're just a few of the ones that will be benefiting from this tournament here in Greer. For now, we are live in Greer. Kelsey O'Donnell, 7 News. Well, numerous flights were delayed here this morning at GSP after a ground stop was ordered by the FAA. That has since been lifted and things are starting to get back to normal here at the airport. But several hours ago, it was a much different scene. Like many flights across the U.S., people flying in and out of GSP were left waiting at their gates Wednesday morning after the FAA ordered a ground stop until 9 a.m. What time were you supposed to fly out of Atlanta?
At 10 o'clock.
Delay after delay.
My flight was supposed to leave at 7:54.
Travelers said all they could do was stand by.
Pretty much every time I've traveled the past year, I'm a photographer, travel a lot. Anytime I've went further than just a regional flight, something like this has happened.
This after the FAA experienced a malfunction with their notice-to-air mission system, a safety system for pilots. The effects were felt at airports across the U.S., leaving travelers at GSP wondering if they'd ever reach their destination. Kathy Hood flew home to the upstate after visiting her family. She says she experienced one of the many delays in Atlanta.
I just didn't want to miss my flight. But things happen.
Daniel Jameson also added extra time onto his commute, telling us he was minutes away from boarding when his plans were rescheduled.
We were about 10 or 15 minutes from boarding before the notification came out. It wasn't a big woe. I was surprised actually that it was kind of quiet up there. The plane that had just left the gate actually turned around and came back.
Despite the unexpected changes, many travelers say they're in good spirits.
We all took it just as stride.
Hey, it's better than 7 hours waiting, so I'll take 2.
Hoping that others will feel the same and continue to be patient.
It's tough for everybody, so, being a jerk to somebody is not going to help.
Throughout the day, delays and cancellations also impacted travelers flying in and out of other airports in our region, including Asheville, Charlotte, and Atlanta. The FAA says it was necessary to help fully restore its system. The FAA says they are still continuing to look into the initial cause of the outage. As for flights go this evening, there are still several delays listed up here at GSP, one of them including a flight going to Atlanta. At the GSP International Airport, I'm Kelsey O'Donnell.